Hello there and welcome to Maham Codes. Sometimes it becomes confusing which letter to uppercase in the title, and we often end up uppercasing the wrong words. To take care of it, we can use an API from Rapid API Hub and build a small application using it. In this video, I will build a title case app that takes a title and then uppercases the appropriate words. Titlecaser.ahmedaves.com has made my life a lot easier, in which I just type a sentence I like and it just gives me a title cased version of it. So I wanted to create my own application that can uppercase the title, something on the lines of this. In this video, I am going to use Next.js to create this application and Tailwind CSS for the styling. If you don't know about Next.js, it is a JavaScript framework built on top of React and provides features such as server-side rendering, static-site generator, and so on. Tailwind is a CSS framework that provides utility classes to speed up the development process. If you want to learn about Next.js, I'll recommend visiting the Learn platform of Next.js. It is completely free and has a lot of things that you can learn, from JavaScript to React, from React to Next.js, and how you can create your own first application and even search engine optimization and so on. So without further ado, let's just get started. Choosing the API is the first step to create this application. Let's find an API that we can use to convert titles to uppercase. Go to Rapid API Hub and create an account if you haven't already. I'm going to click this sign up button right here and will be directed to this sign up page. Here I can sign up with Google, my GitHub account, my Facebook profile, or I can even provide username, email, password, and so on. I'm going to sign up to my Rapid API Hub account. Once it's done, you can get all the APIs divided into different categories in Rapid API Hub. I'm going to search for title case in this search section. You will see different search results related to all the title case APIs. For this video, I will use this title case converter API. To use this API, you need to subscribe to it first. I've already subscribed to it, as you can see this test endpoint button right here. But if you haven't, then you will get this subscribe to test button here, and then you will be directed to this pricing section where you can select any of the subscription packages. I have subscribed to the free package. Once it's done, you will be redirected back to this endpoints page. Here on the left side, you will get all the endpoints related to this API. Then the middle portion will contain the header parameters, the required parameters, and so on, and even the test endpoint button. The right side comes with the code snippets. You can select any of the languages you want from this drop-down menu, and it will generate the code snippet for that language. And then you can even click this copy code button to copy the entire code to your clipboard. Here you can also get your Rapid API key, which is very personal, and you shouldn't share it with anyone. After this video, I will definitely change my Rapid API key. But for the sake of this video, I am just showing you where you can get your Rapid API key after subscribing to the API. Let's see if the API is working properly or not. For that, I am selecting this get endpoint, the title case, and let's see what are the required parameters. In the required parameters, I have to give a title so that it can uppercase it. At the moment, it's stating thanks for opting in to stay in touch. I can change it or even just stick to it because I'm just testing the API. There's another required parameter, that is the style, and it's also required, and it states that I have to choose a style. I'm just sticking to AMA. And now let's click the test endpoint button. On the right hand side, I'm getting this 200 status code, which indicates that the API is working perfectly fine, and this is the title case sentence. Let's move to step number 2, that is building the UI. I'm planning to build an application that looks something like this. Like here we have the title, and let's just make it a little larger. Then it will have sort of an input box underneath the title right here that will take the input sentence to be uppercased. Then on the right hand side, it will have a small button that will state convert, so that it can convert the sentence written in the input box to title cased sentence. And below, I will get my sentence, title case sentence here. Here will be the result. So this is sort of a rough overview of what my application will look like. So let's start working on it. Let's now start with creating the application. For that, I'll create an extra.js project. You can go to tailwindcss.com/doc/guide/next.js to get the entire code that will help you create this next.js application and will also allow you to install Tailwind CSS with it. If you don't have a next.js project set up, you can copy the first command, that is npx create-next-app at latest. I am copying till here. The second part shows my project is the name of the project that it will create, so I'm just going to give it my own name. And then it also has this TypeScript and ESLint in it. Since I will not be using TypeScript and ESLint, so I'm not going to copy that part of this command, and I'm just going to copy this portion. And let's go back to my code editor, and inside my terminal I'm going to paste that, and then I am going to enter the name of the project that I'm going to create. So that's title case project, and let's press enter. This command is going to take a minute to set everything up. It's asking me whether I want TypeScript with this project. I'm going to click no because that's not something that I want, not even ESLint, so I'm just clicking no. And yes, I would like to use Tailwind CSS with this project, so I'm just pressing yes. And we really don't need a source directory for this project, so no again, and not even an experimental app directory, so no again, and pressing enter. Now we're getting that our title case project has been successfully created. The next step is to open this project. We can open this project by clicking this explorer on the left hand side in our VS Code, and then click the open folder, or the other shortcut is to press Command O in the case of Mac and Control O for Windows users. And here is our project. I'm going to click that and click open. When you open the project in your VS Code editor, you will see all these directories and files inside the root directory. We're not going to copy the next command, that is npx tailwind init-p, because this is going to generate tailwind.config.js and post css.config.js files that we already have when we created this project. The next step is to configure your template paths, and it states that add the paths to all of your template files in your tailwind.config.js file, and it's asking me to copy the entire code and paste it inside my tailwind.config.js file. For the sake of this video, I'm not going to do that, and I'm going to head over to this repository that has been created by Rapid API, and I'll link it in the description box below. I am going to copy the entire contents present in this file right here and go back to my VS Code editor, and inside my tailwind.config.js file, I'm going to delete everything that's present and paste that code in here. These are some of the Tailwind CSS configurations that have been done specifically for this project. Some colors have been added that you do not have by default with Tailwind CSS, and some screen sizes have been set up. As you can see there, these are the colors and even the screen sizes. I'm not going into detail of this because that's something that you can change on your own likes and dislikes, and that's something that's beyond the scope of this video. Let's save this file by pressing Command S, and let's go back to our document again here. The fourth step is to add the Tailwind directives to your CSS, and it states that you need to copy this to your globals.css file. Let's go to our globals.css file that's present inside our styles, and click here and delete everything that's present and just leaving the top, that is the base components and utility portion. And here we have it. These are the Tailwind directives. Let's press Command S to save this file. The next step is to start your build process by running npm run dev. I'm going to run this inside my terminal. Let's first clear the screen and enter npm run dev. I'm running this command npm run dev because for all the Next.js project, you need to type this command to start it, and it states that it's present on my localhost 3000. Let's check our localhost 3000. This is what our application looks like at the moment. So now let's begin with writing the code so that we can create something like this. Let's go back to our VS Code editor, and inside pages directory, I am going to remove everything that's present inside this index.js file. Then I am going to create a React component called home, which is exported as the default export. And inside it, I'm going to create a div. This is the class name. I'm not going into detail about this class name because this is related to screen styling and you can change it according to your likes and dislikes. Inside this div, I am going to create a h2 element by the title case app, and then an h3 heading element by the title quickly title case your article titles. Let's save this file by pressing Command S. Inside our terminal, let's just run this application by npm run dev. I just cancelled running the application, so I'm just running it again. You don't need to cancel it. Let's press enter and go back to our localhost 3000. This is what we are getting at the moment. This is our h2 tag, and here is our h3 element. Then here I am going to create another div, and this is the class name, and inside this div I'm going to create a form and then an input field to get the title from the user. The type will be text, autofocus is set to true, this is the class name, and the placeholder value is title. Then I'm also going to create a button for converting it to uppercase. The button will be titled as convert. This is the class name right here. Let's save this file by Command S and go back to our localhost 3000. Here we're having this input field and we're having a button that states convert. Nothing is happening at the moment because we haven't given it a sentence and even integrated the API. Let's go back again to our VS Code editor, and inside our index.js file, let's now import the useState hook from the React module, which allows the component to manage states. So we are typing import useState from React. The component initializes two states using the useState hook. The first state is the title right here. It is initialized with the string text optimization using machine learning. You can write whatever you want. The second state is the response and is initialized with an empty string right here. The title state is managed using the set title, and the response state is managed using the set response function. Then inside the input element right here, I am going to create this onChange event handler. The input element is initialized with the title state using the value attribute, and its value is updated using the onChange event and the set title function. Let's now save this file and go back to our localhost 3000. Here we have it. This is the text that we added, and let's just click this convert button to see if it's working. And no, we are not getting the title case sentence. That's because we have not integrated the API. So let's go back and start integrating the API. For that, I am going to create a new file by the name .env.local, and inside it I am going to write my rapid API key, just removing this, and let's go back to our API, the title case API. This is the rapid API key that I am getting after subscribing to the API. Let's copy that and paste it here. Your rapid API keys are very private, so make sure you do not make it public. For the sake of this video, I'm showing you. After this video, I am going to just change my rapid API key. Let's just press Command S to save this file. Next step is to go back to your index.js file and install Axios. For that, I am typing npm install Axios in my terminal. After it's done, I am going to import it inside my index.js file right here at the top by import Axios from Axios. Let's press Command S to save it. And then inside my pages API directory, I am going to create a new file by the name convert.js. It is going to make a REST API endpoint for you. And let's go back to our API. Here I'm going to change the code snippets to JavaScript Axios. This is the code that I'm getting. I can take it as reference to integrate my API into the application. Let's go back to my VS Code editor. And here inside my convert.js file, let's import Axios from Axios and then export a handler function that receives a request and response. This is the request and this is the response. Object as parameters. Then the function then checks whether the HTTP request method is a GET request, and for that I have typed this if statement, and if so, it sets up an options object for an HTTP request to the title case converter API using the Axios library. The option objects include the URL right here, the query parameters, and the header values. After the options object is set up, the Axios library sends an HTTP request to the title case converter API, and if the request is successful, the response data is sent back to the client as a JSON response with a status code of 200. And if the request fails, the error is logged. So I'm typing this console.error. If the HTTP request method is not a GET request, the handler function set the HTTP status code to 400 right here and sends the response back to the client. Let's save this file. Let's now, inside our index.js file, declare a state variable, a btn text that holds the text for the button, and set btn text is a function that updates the state variable btn text. Then let's create an async function, uppercase title, that gets a call when the convert button is clicked. It takes an event object E as an argument, which is used to prevent the default behavior of form submission. The function then updates the state variable btn text to converting using the setBTN text function. Then it makes an HTTP GET request to a server using the Axios library, passing the title variable as a parameter right here. If the request is successful, it updates the state variable response with the response data using the setResponse function. And finally, regardless of whether the request succeeds or fails, it sets the state variable btn text back to its original value of convert using the set button text function. Then inside the button that we created, let's set an event handler function for the on-click event of a button right here. When the button is clicked, it will trigger the uppercase title function. This function is defined as an async arrow function that takes an event object as its argument. Lastly, let's create a code block that will conditionally render, which means that the UI component is only rendered when a certain condition is met. In this case, the code is checking whether the response state variable has a value, that is, if it is true or not. And if it does, then the div element, which is this, with the class name this, I'm not going into detail, will render the p element containing the converted title text. The response result is used to display the converted title text that is returned by the API. If there is no response, then this block will not be rendered. Let's save this file and let's go back to our localhost 3000 and let's now click this convert button to see if it is working or not. And yes, here we have our uppercased sentence. It is working perfectly fine. Let's just change the UI of this application because it's not quite visible. For that, I'm going back to my index.js file and I'm going to create another div to style it a little differently. Here is the div that I've added. This is the class name. I'm not going into detail. Let's close this div. Let's now Save the file and go back to our localhost 3000. And yes, here we have it. Now it's quite visible. I have just changed the UI. You can choose whatever color you want. Let's now change this sentence and see if it is working as we want it to work. I am writing I am Maham. Let's click convert button. And yes, here we have it. This is the title cased sentence that we're getting, or I must say the title case title. That's pretty much to it. We have successfully created this title case application using title case converter API present on Rapid API Hub. If you want the entire source code, then I link this GitHub repository in the description box. Here you can find the entire source code and can start building your own title case application. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead and try it yourself. Have fun.